Hey guys, so recently I've read two just fantastic epic fantasy novels by Bradley P. Beaulieu, 12 Kings in Sharakhai, and its sequel with Blood Upon the Sand. And in this video I'll just be discussing this first one, hoping to give you a reason to pick it up yourself. This is a full-bodied, expansive fantasy at its best, with all manner of wonderfully written, vivid characters, political happenings, a culture of fear, intense action, revenge, and deadly secrets, all set in a sand-swept city called Sharakhai at the heart of a vast desert. The city has been headed, dictated, and lorded over by 12 cruel, ruthless, immortal kings for centuries. Back when they were each a lord over their own desert tribes, on what is now a holy night called Bet Zahir, they were blessed by this world's gods and given individual capabilities. Among them, the power to rule over all of Sharakhai as they see fit forever. The people really have no say in this, have no input into how things are done in the city, and have no way to go against these overpowered, merciless tyrants who have wreaked havoc and injustices on Sharakhai from the beginning. Their rule is enforced by an army called the Silver Spears, but more so by the vicious, expert blade maidens, an elite group of loyal women chosen to protect the kings themselves at all costs. But we see very little of the kings themselves, actually, or their mysterious ways, as the story we follow is that of a girl named Shada. We begin with an intense scene of her in disguise as the White Wolf fighting in the pits, an underground arena, to the cheers of her admirers and those betting for or against her victory. She fights as the White Wolf on a regular basis, while on the surface, as herself, she runs messages and goods back and forth for Osman, who runs the pits, and this is called shading, and Shada does it often with her best childhood friend, another main character, Emery. On one of the holy nights, Bet Zahir, when no one should be out while shading, Shada makes the decision to trail a canister she's handed off for Osman, both giving her a look into the goings-on of a group called the Moonless Host, an infamous radical rebellion with a bloodthirst for vengeance toward the kings, and puts Emery in danger of the Asurim, these lanky, emaciated, crooked, dangerous, rotted shadow servants to the kings, driven by anger and loathing for all, and attracted by fear. There are secrets abound here in Sharakhai, surrounding the kings, the Asurim, the gods, the Moonless Hosts, and Shada's own past. Many years earlier, her mother seemed to have been on a mission that she never explained to Shada. On a night much like this, Bet Zahir, Shada lost her mother while on this mission, her life taken by the kings for some unknown reason to Shada. What follows is the gripping story of Shada seeking her revenge against the eternal kings, testing the waters, or the sands, so to speak, laying the groundwork for what needs to happen in order for her to find out what her mother did, how she was killed and why, and the secrets of her own past that she was never told. This book is as unstoppable as Shada herself seems to be in the unwavering goal she has taken upon herself. The story is told in bits and pieces and following mostly Shada, but also Emre and a man named Ramad from a country at the edges of the desert called Kamir, whom has his own reasons for placing himself within the political intrigue of Sharakhai's kings. Mostly involving the revenge he seeks towards the Moonless Host. And also, we see from one of the kings themselves, Ison, the honey-tongued king, whom seems to have motives individual to him and him alone. And these sections, these different pieces, all form a very fierce, powerfully told story that, while not necessarily fast-paced at all times, is incredibly well-written and dense, with an intriguing plot that is not diluted by everything else it takes on. Right from the beginning, we are put into the pits with Shada. We fight alongside her, and we experience the dangers of Bet Zahir with her. But a lot of this, after that opening, is a slow build-up to the eventual discovery of what lies behind the secrets of Shada and the kings alike. We're given flashbacks to Shada's past with her mother, with Emery and their band of friends, and given glimpses into the many things happening all over Sharakhai and the whole of the desert. At times, this plot, this piecing together, can be a slog, which is my main complaint about it, but the slow burning nature of the story is complemented and contrasted by the world building and the characters. The world is just so well put together that the customs, culture, mannerisms, history, and people we encounter permeate off the page like heat off sand. It's so easy to become immersed into this desert, the city, and the atmosphere of anger, fear, violence, and oppression that the kings have created, that the gods themselves have allowed to happen. Bradley Beaulieu does a great job of consistently introducing new concepts, giving them context within the story, and expressing what these things mean to the characters and to the city without beating us over the head with just constant explanation or exposition. The result is that this has a very high learning curve, and sometimes you need all the repetition you can get of phrases and places and people and whatever else he introduces to really understand what's going on. But by the end, I felt so engrossed into this world that I couldn't help but immediately pick up the second one. I didn't want to leave it. I had to know where the story of this world was going. I had to know where the characters were going. Now, there's a lot of fresh new ideas, a unique setting for everything, a vast sea of sand that all manner of people sail across on these great sand ships. And there's Sharakhai, which, despite the king's callous rule, is a hub for merchants, traders, lords, etc. that feels like a truly lived-in place as we see it from Shada's eyes. And, of course, Shada herself, amongst a dynamic, vivid cast of characters, is one of my new favorites. She's tough, but she's real. She's not invincible, but she really knows her stuff. She's more than a competent fighter and can hold her own in almost all cases, but she's not above being helped. She's not above having emotion and looking for help from others or giving help to others. Her and Emery especially have a relationship that is not hampered down by absolutes or specifics. Their friendship, the love they feel for one another, is as complex and rich as each of them are on their own individually. There's just so much gray to all of these characters, even to Ison, the Honeytongue King, and we get to see so many sides to all of them. It gives us the sense that each and every character has a past, and we really get to see that for Shada and Emery, and that each of them exists separately from just the story. These characters drive the plot forward. They're constantly doing whatever it is they perceive to be what's best for them or for those around them, pushing their lives to the next place it needs to go. And while this does sort of, once again, muddy the plot and cause it to slow, nothing is ever stagnant or tedious. In this first one, we kind of have to learn about these characters, their goals, their ambitions, their place within this world and of the world itself in order to really get into the meat of what seems to be the plot of the series as a whole. But the author does a great job of doling out information on all of these things in a steady, well-balanced way. Bradley Beaulieu's writing stands out amongst other fantasy writing as both functional and beautiful. You can tell how well he knows every detail of the characters, the world, the history, the plot. He never lets an opportunity to expand on any one of these things pass, and we really benefit from not only the insight that he gives us, but the way in which he gives it. I would describe his writing as visceral and sensory. You can tell he loves to describe food, all different kinds, which I love, and smells, feelings of fear, anger, desert heat, and instinct. The plot may kind of plod along at times, but it's never difficult to get through because of how well he writes it all. It's got action, it's got reflection, description, intensity, humor, emotion, and it just works really well. I really appreciated how he handled everything in this, especially Shada and the city of Sharakhai itself. Overall, I thought this was a pretty great epic fantasy read, often very difficult to put down, stuffed to the brim with story. Sometimes it can feel dense, maybe a bit too long, and it could have been cut just a little to keep the story going a little bit more quickly, but the joy of reading about such a well-developed world and the characters within it really offsets that and makes this more than worthwhile, especially for what comes next. Having already read the second one immediately after finishing this one, I can easily say this is a fantasy series you should get into sooner rather than later. I think that's everything I have to say about it. If you have read this, I've noticed a lot of people have been reading this recently on here, and especially if you've read the second one, let me know what your thoughts on them are. I can't wait to continue talking about the series. I will be doing a full review of the second one as well in the next few days. I'm working on it right now. I think that one is even better than this one, and I can't wait to talk about it more. I think that's it. That's it for me. Definitely let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you later with more.